the human warrior named. Rowland stood at the edge of the Hall of Accord as the distant stars flickered through the glass canopy above him. His armor carried the burns of the last battle, yet he remained steady. Across the chamber stood envoys of the Jorah Dominion who had asked for a truce after years of conflict. They claimed to bring an offering of peace, but the guards at the gates had used quiet tones as if the offering carried weight beyond politics. Rowland did not trust the Jorah Dominion, but he had been ordered to attend and observe. A deep hum echoed through the hall as two tall doors parted. From within, two alien figures stepped out, each wearing thin ceremonial veils and silver bindings. They walked with a slow grace that masked exhaustion. The guards introduced them as Lyra and Nira, daughters of the fallen Jorah sovereign. The bindings marked them as captives, but their posture revealed that they carried pride. Beneath the weight of their situation, the envoy declared that they were being released into human custody as compensation for the destruction caused by the Dominion. Rowland did not speak, but he felt tension rise in his chest. He knew what political offerings meant in many cultures, and he disliked the implication. Yet he saw something in the eyes of the two princesses that changed his stance. Their gaze held fear, but also defiance. They had endured humiliation and still stood upright. Rowland stepped forward and raised a hand. He refused to accept the idea of ownership. He informed the envoy that humans did not claim people as property. The envoy shrugged with cold indifference and stated that the Dominion had no more use for the sisters. Whether they lived or perished depended on human choice. That callous tone told Rowland everything he needed to know about the Dominion's view of honor. Rowland approached Lyra and Nira. He unlocked the silver bindings with the override key provided by the hall attendants. When the metal fell away, both sisters looked confused. Rowland spoke in a steady tone and told them they were no longer bound. He said that as long as they were under his protection, no one would treat them as offerings or prizes. That simple statement seemed to shake them more than any threat. The hall dispersed after the brief ceremony. Rowland was ordered to escort the sisters to the nearest human outpost, where diplomats would decide their future. He led them through the cold corridors of the station. Their steps were slow from days of confinement. Rowland paused and allowed them to rest. He offered them food and clean water. They hesitated, but accepted after a silent glance to each other. When they reached the docking bay, Rowland prepared his small transport craft. Lyra watched his movements with guarded curiosity. She asked him why he had removed their bindings. Rowland replied that no one deserved chains. Freedom was not a gift, but a right. Nira studied him as if trying to find deception. She found none. They boarded the craft and lifted from the station. The stars stretched into lines as they jumped through the lanes of folded space. Inside the vessel, the atmosphere remained quiet. The sisters sat together, speaking in their own language in hushed tones. Rowland heard fragments of worry. He did not understand the words, but recognized fear. He assured them they would not be harmed while in his care. Lyra nodded, but did not speak further. Hours later, they landed on the barren surface of Outpost Haven. The base was built on a rocky plateau with tall shield towers rising like iron spears. Human soldiers saluted Rowland as he passed by. The sisters walked close behind him, their steps cautious. Inside the command chamber, Rowland received new orders. Threats from the Dominion still lingered, and the base needed a field officer to lead reconnaissance missions. The diplomats were delayed and would not arrive for several cycles. Until then, Rowland was responsible for the safety of the sisters. He led them to a quiet section of the base. He gave them a secure room with clean beds and fresh uniforms. They examined the fabric with fascination. Their own garments had been ceremonial relics meant to display their captivity. The new clothes allowed them to move freely. Lyra thanked him with a soft tone. Nira added that no one had spoken to them with respect since their capture. Rowland simply nodded that night. He sat in the outpost briefing hall, reviewing data of the surrounding region. Dominion scouts had been seen near the ridge valleys. Rowland prepared a patrol schedule. As he worked, he sensed movement behind him. Lyra stood at the entrance. She asked if she could observe his work, as she wished to understand how humans planned their defense. Rowland allowed her to sit beside him. She listened carefully as he explained every mark and symbol on the map. She revealed that she and her sister had once studied the tactical arts of the Dominion. They had disagreed with the warmongering of their leaders, but their voices had been dismissed. She grew quiet as she described how they had been taken when their city fell. Rowland did not press her for details. He simply listened. Nira joined them later, carrying a datapad she had borrowed. She was quick to learn human script and tried to decipher patrol routes on her own. Days passed. Tension around the outpost grew as sensors detected multiple Dominion signals. Rowland prepared patrol teams each morning. Lyra often accompanied him to the command hall. She offered insights into possible Dominion attack patterns. Her knowledge proved valuable. Nira spent time repairing old drones in the maintenance bay. Human engineers were surprised by her skill. The sisters began to integrate with the base, not as captives, but as contributors. One evening, a sudden alarm echoed through the base. Dominion raiders had deployed stealth drones near the ridge. Rowland ordered the defense teams to mobilize. Before he left, he told the sisters to remain inside the secure chamber. As he stepped toward the exit, Lyra grasped his arm. She said he had protected them without expecting anything in return. She asked him to return safely. Rowland promised he would. The ridge battle unfolded under a sky filled with dust and faint blue rays from plasma beams. Rowland led his squad with precision. The Dominion drones emerged from the rocks and struck at the shield towers. Rowland issued commands to flank them. One drone broke past the defenses and flew toward the base. Rowland sprinted after it docked inside the outpost. The drone reached the outer corridor. Its scanning beam activated as it searched for high-value targets. Lyra and Nira had heard the alarm and left the chamber despite Rowland's warning. They saw the drone rounding the corner. Lyra grabbed a fallen guard's shock lance. Nira activated a manual override panel on the wall to disrupt the drone's balance. Rowland arrived in time to finish the machine with a precise strike to its core. When he saw the sisters standing unarmed and exposed, he felt a rush of frustration and relief. Lyra replied that they could not hide while others fought. They would not choose fear again. The battle ended with the Dominion retreating. Rowland returned to the base with his squad. He expected reprimands for allowing the sisters near danger, yet the commanding officer praised their assistance. Their knowledge had saved the shield tower from collapse. Over the next days, human officers asked them to participate in strategy sessions. Lyra contributed to diplomatic proposals. Nira helped optimize defense drones. They found purpose again. Rowland often worked beside them. He admired the way they had transformed from captured royalty into allies with their own strength. The sisters noticed how differently humans treated them. They felt seen beyond their titles and past suffering. Lyra told Rowland that trust was something she believed she had lost, but his actions had restored part of it. Nira added that he had shown them a world where choice mattered. Weeks passed, and the diplomats finally arrived. Negotiations with the Dominion began once more. A proposal was made to return the sisters to their homeworld under new protection terms. Lyra and Nira requested time to consider. They met with Rowland in the observation deck where the stars drifted in gentle arcs. They admitted that they feared returning to a court filled with political traps. They also did not want to be symbols used to shape fragile treaties. Rowland told them the choice was theirs alone. They could return home, or remain with the humans if they wished. He would not advise them as a commander, but as someone who respected their will. Lyra stepped closer and said that he had given them safety without expecting submission. Nira added that he treated them with dignity when others treated them as trophies. They said they wanted to stay on the outpost until their future felt clear. The diplomats accepted the decision. Rallen was assigned to continue as their guardian and liaison. His role shifted from escort to partner in rebuilding their sense of agency. Lyra and Nira dedicated themselves to peace efforts. They spoke at assemblies, telling their story not as victims, but as survivors who chose their own path. Months turned into a cycle of growth. Rallen trained new recruits, while the sisters developed programs to help other displaced citizens of the Dominion. Their influence shaped new accords. They stood beside Rallen not as offerings, but as allies whose courage had reshaped the future of two civilizations. Despite the harsh beginning, they had risen from captivity into purpose. Rallen had not expected to change the lives of two strangers, yet he found his own changed in return. The base often saw the three walking the ridge paths together, planning missions, sharing lessons, or observing distant storms across the plains. Their bond was not forged from duty or tradition, but from the simple fact that respect could rebuild what fear once destroyed. The war continued in Dista.